Hello captains, this is Kent again and welcome to the flight show. So what I have for you rather today, is what I promised. I did receive the Airbus flight yoke by Thrustmaster, and I'm going to demo it in action. So what we're going to do is I'm taking off out of my home airport, which is KBNA, and I'm going to do a pattern, taking off, coming around, and landing, to get a feel for how comfortable this particular flight yoke is in flying. So we're going to go ahead and get this plane off the ground. Turn here. We're just doing kind of like a quick turnaround.
Captain, the cabin is secure. All passengers are aboard.
Thank you. I just put in the navs for departure from this runway and landing on this runway. So this should go smoothly. I'm hoping so. Alright, just waiting for the engines to power up and we'll be on our way. I see over here we have a MD-80 about to roll out. I know they're like waiting on us, but don't worry, we'll get out of here quickly. Alright, so I'm going to go with the flaps 2 configuration. Alright, our second engine is powering up. So we'll be getting out of here. Alright, this is just really to give you an idea of this flight stick. So, procedures are not going to be the biggest thing here, so don't beat me up. But I am going to give you my opinion of how well this stick feels and controls the Airbus aircraft. And I'm all about realism. So, if I can fly Airbuses with a flight yoke, I'll do that. And when I fly the Boeings, Airbuses with a flight stick, I'll do that. And when I have the, Boeings, I'll use the flight yoke. It's just that simple. All right, let's do this. Alright, we're setting climb thrust, takeoff thrust. I'm riding the brakes right now. Alright, let it go. Now, this stick does allow yaw, so you could use rudders with your flight stick. I tend not to do that because I have rudder pedals, so I'm not really using that. I'm staying center line using my rudder pedals. I'm trying to kind of like, if you will, fly this the most realistic way that I can. Alright, we're pulling back on the stick so you can see my camera. You can see my input into the flight yoke. Positive rate of climb, gear up. Okay, I'm pulling it back because I want to keep this around 180. Alright, now my initial feeling is this is a very, very smooth feeling flight stick. As I mentioned in my unboxing, this is using Hall effect. It's using the Hall effect in order to control, or should I say to take account of the inputs. So it's not rubber bands or it's not springs working on a force sensor or how much deflection, but it's using actually magnetic fields and sensors measuring differences in magnetic fields to determine inputs. Pretty cool. So as you can see, it's very... Now I removed all of the null zone for the axes. I wanted just direct input, and based on the input, that's what it does. I didn't put a null zone. So okay, we're now at 4,100 feet. I wanted it to... I have it here at 7, but I wanted it really at 4. At least that's what I put it in the... what do you call it? CDU, but I did not, evidently... I did not put it in the... yeah, I know, too fast for these flaps. Bringing it down, my bad. Alright, so we're coming down to 4,000 because we're doing this pattern. We're gonna come back and we're going to land. And we're going to see, because if there's any time that the sensitivity of a flight stick is going to become apparent, it's when you're landing, because you really want to have control of your aircraft. Alright, so far so good. And it does feel really good. It's ambidextrous, so evidently you can flip and put the thumb control here on the other side, such that if you wanted to fly this using your right hand, like you were the first officer, you could. But I really do appreciate that they have done a stick where you have the ability to use your left hand comfortably, so that you can simulate using, you know, the flight stick for an Airbus. So yeah, I'm gonna let you glance at this a little, and you can see the controls that I'm using. That you can see my hand doing here is translating to the flight stick. Let's give it some more input. Some more throttle. You can see that the input that I'm giving in the stick in the real world is translating to the flight stick in the simulation. Giving it a little more throttle so that we can decrease our angle of attack. But I have to say, it does feel good. It really does feel good. Okay, I gotta bring my nose down. Now currently, just out of the box, the red button here is the trim to go up, and the black button on the opposite side of the POV switch, that is the trim to go down. I intend to reset that because I want the red button to be I believe that's in real life that would be disable the autopilot, and that's what I want it to be. But for now, we're just basically going for a feel of the aircraft. Now, right now, I got to get down. I've drifted up 400 feet. So I want you to see that because I want you to see how smoothly I'm able to control this. And I have to say, the flight stick really does feel good. It's not stiff at all, and it's not overly loose like clanky or anything. It's smooth. I mean, it gives you, not that I've ever flown a fly-by-wire aircraft, but when they describe that your inputs to the stick are electronically communicated to the control surfaces, the way the aircraft reacts to your input in the flight stick feels indicative of that. Alright, so now we're taking our turn. Uh-oh, I see the aircraft. Keep on trucking.
Climb now.
I think we both want to be on the same runway. It would be that you're flying coming in on the same runway I'm going to go into.
Climb.
Alright, so now we're going to decrease altitude and we're going to bring back our speed a wee bit. We're going to slide on in behind you. There we go. Okay, and as I said before, it really does feel good. Hey, great, they're running on, they're landing on 2 right, so we're going to 2 center. So that's totally gnarly. Alright, so we need to bleed off speed, flaps, gear down.
Descend now. Descend now.
I got you covered. I mean, what I can tell you is that this, for the price point, now there are 2 things. I mentioned this in my unboxing. I really feel like the honeycomb release had an effect on this release. And what I mean by that, and I don't know this for a fact, this is just my own personal opinion, but if you looked at the video that I had done about a year ago, I talked about how this is the honeycomb flight yoke was going to be a game changer because it was the first release of a quality flight yoke that wasn't in the thousands. It was more of an affordable price point. And because there hadn't been one...
1,000.
We need some more airspeed. Okay, we'll do that. You know, there had not been a release for 12 to 15 years. And so when they finally did it, I was like, well, you know, I guess that'll be the one cornering the market. But, you know, saying, well, we're not going to copycat. But what they did is they said, okay, that's great for a Boeing, but for the Airbus, that's a flight stick, and they evidently chose this. But the thing that I wanted to point out is its affordability. That's the thing that really impressed me, because it's $79.99. There was another one that was more geared towards truly being a simulator, and it was like $300 or $400. So I simply say this: for this flight stick to exist, and at this price point, so that people can, because there are a lot of people who are huge fans of Airbus, and for people to be able to get into Airbus and have this realistic flight stick, and you know they're coming out with the throttle quadrant as well, it's just huge. It's absolutely huge. So I just feel like the fact that they're starting to make stuff again that at the affordable range for the everyday person who can't drop $1,000 on a control, I don't find them to be mutually exclusive. But okay, here we go, about to land. And the inputs are gentle,
200,
very responsive.
100.
Alright. I'm going to pull back the nose.
50, 40, 30, 20 hard, 5.
A little hard, got to get used to it. Alright, I'm going to put in some reversers. But you know what? It feels really, really good. Alright, we're at 80. We'll come off the reversers. So there you have it. There's my quick, down and dirty demo of this flight stick. And I have to say that I am quite impressed with it. It feels really good. I'm going to enjoy flying Airbuses with it for my flight videos because, you know, the more realistic or immersive the experience is, the better it is for everybody. So now I have my honeycomb that I'll use for my Boeing aircraft, and I have my flight stick for my Airbuses, and that's great. Definitely worth the investment to have. Is it like, well, you know, do you having a yoke and a flight stick? No, I have a fighter flight stick for DS World, for, you know, military aircraft. I have my flight yoke for my commercial flight yoke aircraft, and now I have a flight stick that I feel really good about, and it's sponsored by Airbus. So I want to thank you. So if you want my own personal feeling, do I recommend this flight stick? Yes. Plain and simple. And when the throttle quadrants and stuff come out, I have a funny feeling you're going to want that too. Do you need to get this or the honeycomb? Well, I don't know, because I haven't tried the quadrants yet. But I can say, let's just normalize. Let's just normalize for a brief moment. All things being equal, both are quality throttle quadrants. I will say, if you really like flying Airbuses, then that's what you need to run with. If you really like flying Boeings, you need to run with the honeycomb, and that's what I will, you know, say to that. And so when if you're one of those kind of like ambidextrous type of flyers where it's like I like both, over time get both, because again they're both in the affordable range. You may not be able to get them in the same month, you not get them in the same year, but that can be a goal, and no one would fault you for it. You know, you have the equipment that you need for the aircraft you want, and if you wanted to fly all your aircraft on one or the other, that'd be perfectly fine too. It really just depends on how realistic and immersive you want it. So that is my review of this stick. I am pleasantly surprised. I love its price point. I like its handling. I like its quality. It's all plastic that I can tell, but it's not rickety by any stretch of the imagination and very responsive. So this gives me, I bought this stick of my own money, so Thrustmaster is not sponsoring me, so I'm giving you my honest opinion. I give it a thumbs up. There's some equipment that's going to come with it. You can get a stand so you can bolt it to your desk. I have a setup where I can kind of do that already, but it might be nice to position it differently. But all this is to say, I'm excited to have it. Alright, thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you in the virtual skies.